Hi everybody, it's Cindy Alves. Today is Thursday, May 18th. It's 2 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon. This is my living journal where I'm going to come and just talk about what's on my mind, talk about things that I've learned, just get it all out. Going to a therapist doesn't work for me. What I need is trauma-informed care. I need somebody who specializes in knowing a family dynamic where you feed off of each other, and where they understand that when my son is feeling challenged, or in the past when he was having major meltdowns, that it affects me too. And what I do affects him. My husband does affects me. But, we are all interconnected, whether we believe that or not. Especially if you're a family. And that's why, when I learned about what co-regulation is in the nervous system and the response to environment, especially for an autistic individual like Justin, who is dual diagnosed autistic ADHD. And one thing I did learn that works for our family is environment. Environment really makes a huge difference for our family, especially for Justin and myself. For example, we have been up at the trailer. Justin is at home with me on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So day program is Monday, Tuesday, Fridays. And when he's home with me when the trailer is open, we come up here. I'm an at-home full-time caregiver. Raising Justin has been my life. I'm blessed to have a husband who works so hard for his family. And that gives me the ability to stay at home, because if we had to pay somebody to do what I actually do, which is one-to-one with him, I am his one-to-one community worker, I am his respite, I am his teacher, I am his mother, I am his caregiver, I am a doctor of sorts. I am trying to be a mind reader by observing nonverbal communication. I have ADHD, and I ruminate, and I am a deep thinker, and I question a lot. And over the years with Justin, a lot of it is still and was what I call detective work. Trying to find out what was triggering him, how to accommodate that, what we needed to do despite it being difficult at times to make decisions, and lots of times blindly making decisions because I was burnt out. The truth, I don't think anybody who doesn't care for somebody with a disability or mental health, I'm trying to come from a respectful lens, because I always try to see what life is like for everybody else around me. I'm intuitive. I'm an empath. I really want others to feel comfortable around me, especially my children. And for 16 years of Justin's life, he struggled immensely. He didn't fit in. And his genetic makeup and due to his disabilities, is complex. And what it calls for is a complex, drastic measure. And we had to do what we did to get him out of crisis, and it has absolutely changed our life. It's important to always say when I start off these videos, I should start at the beginning and with some kind of a script, that these are my thoughts, my experiences, my personal opinions. I'm sharing my thoughts. I'm not telling people what to do. I'm not giving advice. I'm not here to judge, so please don't judge what I'm talking about, because it's about my own lived experience and how I interact with my family. And I'm doing it because it's been 3.5 years since we unschooled Justin and went through a major crisis. And we are, the last 3.5 years, we have been in a very good spot. And while we are in a good spot, I find I want to take advantage of that. I want to teach Justin the skills. Now that his nervous system is safe, he feels safe, he's happy, he's thriving. He's in a good spot to be able to teach him life skills. Going out into the community, teaching him coping skills and flexibility and how we act out in the community, because Justin needs to move at all times. And now he's a young man. And I cannot stop him, even when he was little. For those of you who have kids, teens, adults who need movement at all times, you can't just tell your kid to sit. It just does not work. So what we have had to do throughout Justin's life is accommodate the movement. And that's why school didn't work for him. That's why I am more nature-based. Learning from the natural environment, letting him be inquisitive, just following his lead. And he's growing. Like, it's natural growth. It's opposite of what people are doing. It's less is more. It's allowing him autonomy and for him to initiate on his own time, in his own way. Layla, come. Sorry, just excuse me. My dog's gone under the trailer. Hey, come on. So, good girl. Like anything else, I'm a realist. I'm creating videos that are real. Behind me is, I'm in our trailer park. I had to take the dog from underneath the trailer. There are noises around me. That's my life. I want to be as real as I can be. I'm not putting on any show for anybody. I share my life voluntarily. Currently, I don't make any money. For 18 years, I've never made any money off of what I do. I most would obviously benefit from getting paid for content, but a lot of me feels uncomfortable because I know there's so many people out there who are struggling themselves. And it's just me. So a lot of this is being done for myself. I'm talking to a camera. I don't know who's watching. I just started the YouTube video. I've wanted to create. See, again, Layla, get out of there. What are you looking for? Come on. Go, I got it. She must have dropped something down along one of her chewies. So she's stubborn, but she got what she wanted. So my train of thought is off. That's me. My ADHD can jump from one thing to the next. You may observe that if you start following me. You may observe my train of thought can be triggered by certain words, which often catches people off guard. But if you're ADHD, you know what I'm talking about. Somebody can talk about something and then it triggers something else, something off topic, totally off topic, and the other person is lost. But it makes sense to me. It's logical to me. I was diagnosed at 49 with ADHD. Yes, a lot of people are saying that everybody's being diagnosed with ADHD, you know, and autistic, and I really feel, you know, legitimately that a lot of the parents that are being diagnosed, it's genetic, it's in the family. It's, you know, a lot of us who have been able to just really kind of skim by, but a lot of it was done, you know, I as a kid, I was highly anxious. I was exhausted all the time. I knew I had sensory issues, but it didn't, you know, I felt ill all the time. Even as a child, especially as a middle-aged kid, I fed off of other people's energies, and I always felt sorry for people who were bullied. I was shy though, and I didn't know how to speak up. I was one of those kids who was not able to say anything. Just a minute. No, you're gonna go inside. Come on. Inside you go this time. Come on. Oh my God, you're knocking everything over. Okay, in you go. Go. I love animals, but as you can see, Layla right now is more work than my children. Well, of course my children are adults, but lots of times she's more work. Today we went out to Canadian Tire. Had to get some camping toilet paper and planted some flowers and stuff, so I wanted to get some dirt. And you know, I will always go over the rules with Justin on how, you know, we are to, you know, try to behave in the stores. Justin doesn't get away with a lot. I mean, you know, people talk about gentle parenting or low demand lifestyle and think that you as a parent let your kids get away with everything, and that's farther from the truth. It's just recognizing what is causing stress and removing as much as we can. That's what low demand lifestyle means. It's picking and choosing what you can toss off to the side and what you need to keep. And of course, rules are still, and teaching Justin is constant. Every day is a teaching moment for me, every day. And, you know, that's why I firmly believe when Justin was growing up, and especially when he hit high school, his ability to learn stopped. It was replaced by a teenager who, no matter where he went, was trying to cope. That's all he was trying to do. So, you know, increased meltdowns, stimming, scripting, movement, and things that are stopped in school. And it created a storm. It created autistic burnout at 16 years old. And, you know, I've done enough research and learned enough about behaviors and, you know, psychology, and I'm a deep thinker. And I understand Justin. I do. I understand Justin more than anybody. And I know it's because I'm very much like him. I crave solace. I crave alone time. I need to decompress. I'm turning more as I get older into an introvert. I am both introvert, extrovert, but since being the parent of Justin, I have lived a life where my nervous system is in fight and flight constantly. It was always being afraid of safety for safety reasons, always being on and watching people around me to see if they're staring or laughing at him or talking behind my back. A lot of us have this. An anxiety that forms. For me, it formed because I'm very protective of Justin. I know why he does what he does, but a majority of people don't know. And what Justin does to us, myself, my husband, Alyssa and Mike, our daughter and son-in-law, is normal. It's that's all we know. That's all we know. So that's our normal. But I need to stop and realize that a lot of people, they don't understand what the heck is going on, and they will stare. And that creates really high anxiety in me, to the point where I can't focus. If I'm anywhere where Justin is kind of wandering around, I can't have conversations with people. I lose all focus. I almost dissociate. I am not there. I'm not there. I'm looking for Justin at all times. I'm checking to see where he is. And it's a very, very hard position to be in. Now, I don't want people thinking I'm blaming Justin, because that's not true. Justin has changed who I am. Justin has made me who I am. Justin has made me strong. He's made me a fighter and an advocate. He's made me more empathetic. He's made me slow down. And he's helping me find out what's important in my life. I'm trying to learn from what happened in the crisis. I now know that, it's almost like that, like people talk about that imposter syndrome. If you get diagnosed with ADHD, it's like, do I really have ADHD? If you go through trauma, do I really have trauma? Do I really have CPTSD? It's always questioning, maybe I don't, but knowing deep down inside I do, and knowing for sure he does. Just Friday, he said no school, and reminded me that he goes to Bloom. He'll be going on 4 years soon. He's been out of school since 2019. I think it hurts my heart, because I know there's so many children and teens and young adults in crisis, especially children and youth, because they're at an age where their brains are forming, their opinions of themselves are forming, and they're taking on a lot of the blame. Justin took a lot of the blame on. Autistic children take the blame on for their meltdowns, for their reactions to things. This is what happens. They get the blame, instead of us saying, hey, it's the environment. It's complicated. It may not just be the environment, but environment is a huge factor. Who you are with, who interacts with you, what kind of environment are you learning in? How do people talk to you? Do they believe in you? Do they withdraw and let you take breaks if they see that you're distressed, or do they make you just push right on until point of meltdown? I acknowledge I'm very, very in tune to Justin, and I'm realizing now, in order to continue to do this long term, it is now absolutely about my own mental health. And realizing that as a middle-aged mom and female with a whole whack of diagnoses now that I didn't Well, I did have when the kids were younger, but I wasn't diagnosed. I had severe. I had severe depression. I had severe anxiety, debilitating anxiety. I had a lot of anger because people just didn't get it. People just didn't get it. They didn't understand why I was so anxious, why I couldn't shut off, why I needed to leave early. Um, and it's even harder when you feel like people don't understand you. So, you know, I changed my news feed. I put on a lot of empaths, safe pages, poets, writers, people who are, trying to heal and finding balance, and, you know, areas where there's not high conflict. I had to get it out of places like that. I as an empath, I can't do it. Social media is really, really hard for those of us who are empaths. We soak in everything, and when you're in groups and on pages that are highly volatile, it absolutely broke me. And it wasn't even my stuff to be angry about or my stuff to be sad about. It had no effect on me. It had nothing to do with me. And this is when, people are going in all these spaces on social media, and, what you're telling people to do, it has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with your life. The way that people parent, the way that people choose to look at things, viewpoints, we're all human. We're entitled to do that. And, it's communication has broken down. Everything that's written is miscommunicated because there's no tone. People misread intent. They could be coming from somewhere else where they're triggered and then going into somewhere else and being even more triggered. And then there's fights back and forth. And many times I would try to get into conversations, but stopped. I got out of groups very, very early on in my advocacy. I started in 2019, and I think I've been out of groups for a year and a half. It's a slow progression for me. It's the crisis and the burnout and the trauma is forcing me to examine my life. Examine who's in my life, what kind of content I'm taking in, what I'm putting out. I absolutely love to connect with people who are deep thinkers. People who are safe, who you can say something to them and they're not going to be offended or they're not going to be angry, but understand that maybe it's a miscommunication. Let's clarify. Mature debate. I don't even, to the point now where I don't even really engage with anybody except for on my page, because I'm that serious about my mental health, where I very rarely engage with somebody on other pages, provide feedback or anything, because I don't feel safe. And unless I really feel safe with somebody, that's when I will interact with them, if it is their page. But I rarely do that now because maybe people think it's an easy way out, but it's what I have to do in order to survive in a world that is really mostly all about social media. In a world that's angry and confused and bitter and where you can't say anything, or you're corrected with the way that you talk, the way that you say things. Your opinion about something is always corrected. I don't want people being able to come into my page and correct the way that I feel, because it's my lived experience. I don't go into other people's pages and tell them what they think and what they feel is wrong. Most viewpoints come from your own life and your own experiences. And that's where validation comes in, and that's where validation is important. And if it's toxic or uncomfortable, it's up to us to block, to disengage. If you find that it's really messing with your mental health, you have to take charge. I had to take charge. I had to really examine, what am I going to take in? What am I taking in? Because what I take in really affects me. That's what led to my depression, being an autism advocate. Because I was taking in everybody else's stuff, and I couldn't help them. Or I felt sorry for the kids, or I felt sorry for the caregiver. It's emotions that, being an empath, are very hard to keep in. So environment matters. People around you matter. Who you are surrounding yourself with, the kind of energy that you're bringing in and putting out. Find people who are empaths, who are healthier pages, who you can communicate with and not be afraid. I do more one-to-one with people. My inbox is open. If you have any questions or you want to talk about something, that's the way I do it. I do one-to-one. I can't do groups, but I can do one-on-one with somebody and be more specific around my story or what you want to talk about. For myself, it's more beneficial. I guess sometimes I can control it. With anxiety, I can control how I'm feeling, what I can say to one person, not to 10 or 20 or 30 or 100 people. I can control what I'm saying to one person, and they can go back and forth with me. It's not too much energy. Even if it is somebody coming in and wanting to talk about their mental health and their struggles, I can handle that one-on-one. Because I know that I'm more able or apt to help somebody if it's one person as opposed to hundreds of people. But, I stepped away from advocacy, of, claiming to speak for others. I never did claim to speak for others, but now I know this is my experience. It's Justin's experience. Right now, Justin is sleeping. Yesterday, he didn't have a nap because we didn't go anywhere. Today, we went to Canadian Tire and to the flower shop, and we picked up some lunch, and then we got our coffee. We were probably out for a little over an hour and a half, something like that, and he's absolutely burnt out. Now he's sleeping. That goes to show how complex and how high, his need around his environment is. If he was still in school, he would absolutely be having meltdowns, and we would still be in a crisis and dealing with aggression. And we have no choice but to do it this way, and we're lucky enough to do it this way. But for people who say that, he's never going to learn anything, he's not in the real world, he is absolutely in the real world. That's exactly where he is. He is in the real world. He's learning real world things. He's learning how to interact with people in his community. He's learning friendships at day program, which he didn't have the chance to make in high school because there was no chance to make friends in high school. It's just too busy. I don't know. I can't believe the difference in Justin. I just cannot believe the difference. And if I could, my brain, my ADHD brain, and I talk about it often, if I could create something like this. I am not a planner. I can't execute things. I can one-on-one with Justin, but due to my ADHD and my ability in my executive functionings being very severe and challenging, I am not somebody who could do programming or planning or execute the plan. I'm absolutely someone who can come in and emotionally support somebody, who can allow somebody to be neuroaffirming, and explore their environment, and create curiosity and imagination. That's who I am. I'm not the planner. I'm not the executor who can put things into motion. I have lots of ideas, and if it was ever a team initiative, that's the part. That's who I am. More of a a natural learner, and I guess because that's the way I am. And I believe in pulling back and allowing Justin to learn from his environment. He wasn't learning anything in a classroom. Now he's out in the real world. So when people say, oh, kids need to be in school, or the other day, for example, I'm reading so much of, and this is just a thought, and I'm curious, okay? Here's a question for people. This is just a thought that I need to talk about because I need to work it out. It's not one way I think or the other way I think, but I'm curious because this is the way my brain thinks. People are saying we need to take away the screen time. We really have to cut out the screen time for kids because they're anxious and they're depressed and they can't focus. But from my standpoint, Justin has learned tons. He's probably learned 99% of his information that he knows from watching Barney and from being watching clips of videos that he has control over. Could it be that social media, the right stuff, the healthy stuff, is a way to cope? Because they have anxiety, because they have depression, maybe they're being bullied, they're socially not fitting in. They have all these worries, and social media is an escape for them, like gaming. And it becomes such an obsession because they get hyper focused because of, especially if they're ADHD or autistic, they get hyper focused on what they're doing, and it absolutely takes them out of their stress levels. I'm just curious about that, because having an autistic child who always, when you took social media away, yes, he would have meltdowns, absolutely. But a lot of it was because he wasn't able to transition quickly. Like, you get off that right now. Wasn't able to do that. Had to have countdowns. Sometimes countdowns didn't even work because what I didn't realize is that he needs to shut all his windows down. When he's watching videos, he opens up tons of windows, and he has to be the one to shut them down on his timing. It's a thought process. It's the way it has to be done. And when I started giving him the freedom to do that, that's when the meltdown stopped. When Justin can absolutely transition off of his phone, no problem. And probably because he gets it quite regularly. So now when we're going to do something, he's regulated and he's ready to go. That's just through my observations of my own son. When social media or any kind of reward system, whether it's a clip of a video or anything like that when he was younger, when that was taken away and it was used as reinforcement and then taken away, that's what created the meltdowns. Absolutely, that's what created the meltdowns. And of course, it's hard when they're young. They don't have the skills. They do not. Justin has these skills now, and this is at 18 years old. All that what we've done over the years, and what I've learned is just all coming into place now that he is unschooled and his nervous system is not inflamed. He's in a calm environment, a safe environment, at home, and at program. It's like a perfect mix. And when Justin does well, his family does well. It should be a given, when Justin is thriving, I'm thriving. But I still have my stress. You know, I'm just not feeding as much off of Justin's stress as I used to, which would absolutely put me in burnout daily. For people to sit back and judge caregivers, it is hard. It's hard to care for somebody else and to care for yourself at the same time. It's absolutely draining because we all have our own struggles, and then when you're caring for somebody else, it's double the struggle. That's why self-care to me is important. That's why getting rid of things that stress me out is important. That's why not engaging on social media as much is helping me. I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking out in my head. This is the ADHD. I'm looking at some tree leaves moving. Mindfulness is important too. Sometimes when I sit here and I'm still, I can hear the birds. They're doing some construction in the park, creating a whole new area over there. There will be 2 pools being put in. That's going to take some time. We've been here for I think it's 4 years now. But if you really am able to, you know, sometimes it's so hard for parents to get away from their kids and the noise, and it can be very irritating. If somebody's not a parent, you don't know what it's like when people get together and they're always clashing. And that's what kids are like. Oh, chipmunk! ADHD. Hi, buddy. Oh no, you're not coming out. I'll have to get some bird seed because I just absolutely love animals. And you know, growing up, I never thought anything of it. Just recently, I started realizing that there's a lot of people that don't like animals. My husband is one of them, and I don't understand it. So now I know this is my interest. This is something I absolutely love. And a lot of it is because I'm an empath. You know, I was saving the snakes, the little baby snakes this year until I saw the mother, and then I just, I stayed away. You know, don't let people kill any little bugs around me. Animals are just, I just adore animals. And not a lot of people are like that, so I don't know why. I don't understand how you can't love animals. I have 2 guinea pigs that I cuddle with every night. It's my little guinea piggy therapy. I didn't do that last couple nights, so it's really thrown me off because we're up at the trailer. And my husband calls them rodents. And, you know, I always say, don't call them rodents, those are my babies. And we joke about it. Anyways, this has been a long talk. And, again, sometimes I may look like or feel like on your end that I'm just rambling, but a lot of this is being done for myself, you know, as a living journal. And maybe someday if my kids want to look back, I'm trying to be very sensitive about what I'm talking about. And, you know, if one day, you know, which happens and I'm not here, I hope my family knows how much I love them. I hope my kids know I tried to do my best at all times, and that my family has been my saving grace. I'm not going anywhere, so don't worry. I'm just reflecting. And I do that often. I get emotional because, you know, having support is so important, and so many people don't have that. So again, my inbox is always open. You know, I can't help you in real time, but if you need to chat or talk, I am a safe person. I will validate. I use my empathy. I give respect, especially one-on-one with somebody. And if we don't click for whatever reason, then my boundaries have to come up because I'm a caregiver, and I have to absolutely put myself first so that I can care for Justin and for my family. Anyways, I hope you all have a good day. I'm going to heat up my coffee and drink that and maybe see if I can find some ASMR. I'm really into it right now, putting it on before bedtime. And actually, on the drive home, one of my favorite girls was on ASMR, and I put it on in the car, and Justin actually fell asleep. So it works. But thank you for listening. If you're really struggling right now, be easy on yourself. Show yourself some grace. You matter, even though you don't feel like it. If you need to cry, cry. If you're feeling angry, feel angry. Learn coping skills. It's coping skills that are going to help you. And then practice them. If you don't know how coping skills work, reach out to others who kind of understand coping skills, who can give you strategies. And if that doesn't work for you, that's okay. But let people give you strategies that work for them. Absolutely, we need to start talking about the things that are working instead of the things that don't work all the time. Because we're never going to grow in any kind of way if we don't balance our mental health. If we don't talk about the things that are good or that we're thankful for along with the mental health and what we're struggling with and the changes that we need to see. We need to talk about it all. So my page is all about balance. It's important. I want to talk about my mental health because I know people feel alone and I don't want people to feel alone. And I want to talk about how we're thriving and how we've seen success and how we are dealing with trying to heal and knowing that crisis is always around the corner. So right now it's a very critical time in my life where I'm very serious about my healing and the energy that I'm taking in and the energy that I give out. I hope you have a great day. Take care.